It gives me great pleasure now to introduce David Parkin, let's be formal about it at this early point of the evening, David, to give us a taste of what is to come from his Delusions book. To give a bit of context, and show part of the back of the book, really, in 2015, Dave had a bipolar manic episode and was sectioned for 4 months. His Delusions of Grandeur is an installation and a book. Ta-da! It's very, very nice. Examining his experience. It's currently in residence at the world-famous Bethlehem Museum of the Mind in fancy London, where he's doing these sort of fortnightly events where he's in conversation with various luminaries in the arts and what of the arts and arts and health. It's very impressive, and it's such a beautiful museum. If you haven't had a chance to go, though, I'd really recommend a visit. But there's this join-up, of course, between the work there and the work here, because the work was sort of developed in partnership, wasn't it, originally, with Attenborough Arts Centre and Leicestershire Partnership and NHS Trust, and it had its first showing in the main gallery back in, I think, 2070, in the main gallery, and it was just, it was, thank God it was pre-pandemic, because it would have broken laws. It was very, very busy, and rightly so. And this is our chance to see its evolution, and it's changed so much, and now there's the book that goes with it, and really just celebrate it back here, back home, Dave, back at home. It's a gorgeous book. A few words I've written, my thoughts on it, Dave. There is a palimpsest. Palimpsest, you know the word palimpsest? Yeah, it's sort of layering, no, but adjust your faces. That is the traditional poet listening to poetry face, actually. Dave was just practicing that. Palimpsest, kind of like a layering of typed, photocopied, handwritten text. It combines prose, medical notes, drawings, diagrams, plans, plots, post-it notes to make you happy cry. It's hilarious, heartbreaking, and hopeful. And everyone should read it, and I really believe that. And you're going to share a bit of it before we go to the interval. Thanks very much, and put your hands together for David Parkin.
Hello. There are Lydia summed it up wonderfully there, and there are sort of different bits and bobs in it. So there are like drawings in there. I could have got them up, like the drawings up on the projection, but unfortunately I couldn't be asked. Sorry about that. It just seemed like a faff. So, yes, buy the book. But in the book, there's my mad little notebook, which I wrote at the time, which is at turns quite eloquent and thoughtful, and at other terms just mental, just batshit. And there's also my doctor's notes, which are a lovely sort of mix of deadpan, And it's like David woke up today, he slept really well, he was a bit groggy David walked around with a pair of underpants on his head. I discussed with him whether this was appropriate behaviour. But mostly I kind of wrote just text boards, which are kind of moments on the ward, and they take you through from getting sectioned to, escaping to the champagne bar, getting punched by a fellow inmate, to release. And I'm going to start right at the beginning with getting sectioned. I am outside their hotel, screaming at my parents, over and over again, with a lot of swearing. I try to make them understand. I was going to do a reading of my children's book, The Nose That Nobody Picked. I had all sorts of things planned. I'd go to a second-hand shop, dress up silly, and get people to follow me to the art centre, a bit like the Pied Piper, only reaching the place when it was time to go on and happily blowing smoke-filled bubbles using my vape. A concerned member of the art centre, John Kirby, is he here? I can see him at the back there. A concerned member of the art centre, where was it? A concerned member of the Arts Centre came to see me and sat with my parents as I gibbered on about my fantastic ideas. He left, and I assumed that the reading was still going ahead. Eventually, I phoned the place, and they informed me that the show wouldn't be happening because the artist was unwell. This infuriated me. During dinner at my parents' hotel, where they'd come to stay because I was acting weird, apparently, I stepped outside to phone a friend. I told her I was going to write a blazing attack on Facebook about the Arts Centre who chickened out on my experimental new wave children's book reading. My friend phoned my parents, and here we are, me shouting at them in the dark. That book! Oh, I haven't finished yet. Sorry. Although I appreciate your enthusiasm. I'll give you a wink when I've finished. Okay. Shouting at my parents in the dark. That book is my intellectual property. While I love you, Mum and Dad, I am my own person. I can do or say whatever I like about it. I turn to my father and shout the whole thing again, but with fucking every other word. I'm venomous. He looks a little afraid. I am intent on buying a bottle of wine and drinking it as I walk home. My dad tries to stop me, and we scuffle, ending up on the floor. Eventually, I agree to get a taxi home with them, except the taxi doesn't go to my home. It goes to the hospital. Outside the A&E, I make a hell of a scene. I'm angry and terrified. 2 nurses finally get me inside. Things are explained in hushed voices, and I am led away from my parents and taken to a waiting room where I wait for 4 hours. At 2:15 a.m., I am seen by 2 men and a woman who explain that they are psychiatrists and a social worker, respectively. They ask me stuff like, "Are you seeing things, David?" "No." "Do you think people are watching you?" "Well, I do now." "Do you think you have special powers?" "What?" "And do you think, David, that you're a special person?" This gets me going. I explain to them that we're about to enter a new wonderful time of optimism. The world has been pretty awful of late, but that's changing. People are coming together. Jeremy Corbyn being Labour Party leader, for example. It's happened like this throughout history. There have always been great times of darkness, but the light always follows. We can see that in the stories we tell. I start my Star Wars analogy. We are at the end of Empire Strikes Back, but Return of the Jedi is on its way. And do I feel like I'm a special person? Well, yes, I guess I do, because the nose that nobody picked is part of that. It's an agnostic parable that's going to change the world. And no, I don't think that's unrealistic. Kids' books, man. Get them while they're young. Imagine a terrorist reading it to his kid and then changing his mind about things. Everything is going to be all right. As I say this, I start crying and then laughing. I can see it all, and why won't these people listen to me? They take notes and raise their eyebrows. Then they section me. At 5 o'clock in the morning, I am taken to the Bradgate Mental Health Unit in Glenfield Hospital. I shouldn't be here. This is a mistake. This is madness. Thank you. Thank you.
With David. So I'd like to welcome to the stage those members. So John Constantino, Jane Knight, Colleen Malloy, And it's a memory test, yes. Abby Willock, who will later hate me because I nearly forgot, and I shouldn't because she's amazing. Yeah. So, right, if you take a seat, give them a round of applause. I'm going to go and rush and get my mask and join you.
Hello. So we started workshopping, and so a lot of my book it's life writing, and we started talking about life writing, and I thought we'd just start with anecdotes, and I think who's up? Jane? It's Jane reading Charlotte's piece. Do you want to get up? No, Charlotte who can't be here. Yes. Oh, yes. Sorry. Charlotte, who wrote this, is visually impaired. So.
So I'm reading this for Charlotte. My husband took me to the corner shop, waited in the car outside. However, while I was in the shop, with what happened next, I could have cried. My husband had moved up to let someone else in our space, and with my eyesight being poor, I got into the wrong car. The driver said, "Hey, what's the score?" His arms were waving about. I could tell he was upset. I was upset too and embarrassed. "Don't worry," I said. "Out of the car I'll get." Seeing I'd made a mistake, my husband rescued me. Joking, he said, "Didn't he fancy you?" I said, "He could have kidnapped me." "Then what would you do?" "Probably go to the pub," he replied, to pass the time away. Noticing I was close to tears, he said, "Cheer up, we'll laugh about this one day."
I will be playing, I know very basic piano, and I will be playing along, and I forgot right at the start of that. No, sorry, Jane. Yes. Yeah. I thought you were coming on to me, Lydia.
No, I know, and that stopped it, put him off the piano entirely.
Yeah. I was excited and confused.
Me too, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just relationships.
So obviously my book is about getting sectioned. So we did end up talking about sort of life's difficulties and stuff, but then we decided to talk about what we did as respite or escape, and what we did that brought us pleasure. So this poem is by Tegan, who also can't be here tonight, unfortunately, and it's read by this marvellous young lady, Lydia. You might know her. Okay, right, sorry, let me just find my oh God, where's my, right, hang on, these are my notes. Okay. Yes, okay, what? I remember what I played, yes, my notes don't make any sense, so I've got terrible handwriting.
But we should say that all of the music you're hearing from Dave is of his own composition. No covers. This all comes from previous work, shows he's put together. Amazing. And it's just genius. And you're like some kind of Renaissance man that you can do all of this as well. No one likes a show off. Reading for Tegan, instrumental break. Sing. We need power anthems of singular clarity, with words to sing at the bottom of a screen. Islands in the stream, and it's a sin. Dancing Queen, a speciality. Release and space and vocal technique and the hope of getting better at something. I have a microphone and voice to let out, singular release with words on a screen, a practice, a pain, regaining belief in your voice, a choice to make space in a melody. Thank you.
I'm just going through my notes again. Oh my God. Right, sorry. So some of us, for pleasure, we did karaoke in our computer, which is what that poem was about. And some of us just went on a nice walk. And next up, it's Colleen.
Thanks for the inspiration, Dave. This is mindful walking in Braunston Park. I've learned to avoid that easy desire to just snooze, so I remove my tatty slippers and lace up my walking shoes. Do I need a warm coat or a light jacket? Scarf or a hat? What is the best habit? Decide how cold it is and just get out there and walk. Head to the park. I must not balk. I must to nature, to green, to the ever-changing landscape of colour and light. Check out the mighty oak and the willows. Immerse myself in delight. Notice, notice, notice. If no growth, no new leaves on trees, then watch the light. It's a bonus. See how it cascades, the stretch of shadows. Hear our feathered friends, the rise and falls and plateaus. Observe the birds on the water, their antics, squawks and laughter. Feel the wind, taste the air, be complete. Keep walking and looking and feeling the ground beneath my feet. Immerse, immerse, look, listen, smell, feel. Remember to smile at passers-by. Force a smile, make sure I smile. Rejoice in the reciprocation, move with the syncopation. Then head to that quiet space between the woodland and the lake, the space that few frequent, to release my ache. Sit and breathe, breathe and breathe. Works like magic, dissipates the seethe. Watch, lie back to gaze at cloudland shifting across the sky. Watch the trees upside down. Now I've lost the impulse to cry. Set off home again, feeling calm and tired. No longer wired, but finally, fully inspired.
Beautiful, beautiful. And we also talked about how just writing in itself could bring us peace. And next up, we've got Abigail. Abby.
So this is Writing in the Dark. When you have had enough of thinking and feeling, enough of long-form conversation and tactful mediation, go home and turn off the light. Draw the curtains and shut the world out of sight. Pour yourself a glass of red. Take a moment for yourself. Get comfy in bed. Now is not the time for ink and paper. Now is not the time for perfection or poetry. So put your phone on aeroplane mode. No more Snapchat notifications, no more of Instagram's useless information. Open notes and start typing. Letter by letter, the truth as you feel it. Fear not, the page won't be offended, and alone here your thoughts are apprehended. Thank you.
I guess we were using my book as an inspiration. So we did acknowledge life's challenges, and that sometimes we had a bit of a struggle. We chatted about this actually. It was really nice, but we also kind of talked about our resilience, and that we all of us, you included, are survivors. So next up, it's John.
Thank you. Hold on. Is it picking me up? Oh, yeah, there we go. All right. Hi, folks. As David said, this is got a mental health theme. It's called Surviving. My sister's life was derailed by my oldest sister dying. Sent her spinning and flying to the dark side of the moon. My friend Rob, who made my website, super intelligent but super addicted to drugs, was a shock to hear he'd taken his life. 100 other in-between extremes of those who've struggled but survived to the other side. Those of us still here, I surmise, are the vulnerable, invulnerable. Thank you.
And that's it. I'd like to give the word writers another round of applause for being so lovely.
Thank you very much. And thank you, David Parkin, for that amazing facilitation and those beautiful poems. David Parkin and the Wednesday Words Collective. All right, then, you can go now when you're ready, in your own time, everybody. Yeah, clear off. Okay, thank you very much, the Wednesday Words Collective. We're now ready for our headline act. Are you ready, though? That's the question. Bracingly direct, in a good way. So we're about to present our headline feature with David Parkin. It's very exciting for us. He is an author, to recap, theatre maker, musician, and installation artist. His work is fiercely autobiographical or silly and speculative, his words, but always, our words as well, thoughtful, moving, and funny. From his children's book and musical, The Nose That Nobody Picked. You see that? Yeah. The Nose That Nobody Picked. To his clinical depression concept album show, Good Friday. Tonight, we're proud to be presenting Delusions of Grandeur, his uplifting, illuminating biography that reveals and explores mental health detention and inpatient experience from the perspective of recovery, and takes readers and viewers of its book and installation on a moving, hilarious, and highly impactful and thought-provoking personal and cultural, socio-political journey. It also contains a chapter on wanking. Yeah, something for everybody. As Stephen Fry says, David is charming, funny, and bracingly direct. Let's all at least pretend to be a little bit pleased to see him. He has walked all the way from Nottingham, haven't you? And he is a genius. The amazing delusions of grandeur that are every bit as good as they think they are. David Parkin. Put your hands together.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Lydia, and thanks to everyone doing open mic. I really enjoyed those pieces. So I've chosen some pieces, and as Lydia said, they're a bit rude. There is one called wanking, and even the serious bit at the end talks about wanking as well. And also, I realised the pieces I've chose, there's a lot of kind of there's women, and there's a lot of lusting and loving directioned towards women. And all I can say is that A bipolar manic episode sends your libido through the roof, and B, it makes you yourself, but even more so. So, and I'm a straight guy, and I love women, and and I was a relationship ended, and I was very alone, and I was just looking for connection, for anything, for someone, and so I was, I wanted to be loved and to love, and that happened quite a lot. This is straight after getting sectioned, so it's while I'm quite mad, but this is about that, and it's called Meeting Morella. It is late evening on the ward, one of the calmest of times. Few people are around, and those who are up are still either drugged and sleepy or turning their full attention onto something in an attempt to ease their nerves. Lights are low, a dreamy twilight. The TV is on, but quiet. An overwatched romantic comedy goes through the motions once again. A few nurses sit around, heavy eyes, lazily blinking. I have refused my evening drugs, but happily taken a few PRNs. PRN, pro re nata, as needed. A pair of blue pills to chill you out. I drink mine down with lemon juice and pretend it's Pinot Grigio. I'm just getting the hit when I see her, the new girl. She has a foreign gypsy look I can't quite place, and is easily the coolest person in the room. Apart from me, obviously. Me. But she's kind of beautiful. Brunette, messy hair, cute t-shirt, and hiding behind a pair of stylish glasses are eyes that are big, deep brown and flecked with the green. I'm guessing early 20s. She is a blaze and a shock to me. Everything has meaning. Everything is heightened. I've just had a cigarette, and the sky was alive with stars, and the moon was fat, yellow, and full of the universe. And now she walks in. Who is this hip young thing? Except she's not hip or cool. She's agitated. She sits at a table and looks around nervously. There is a fine twitch to her movements, and her eyes look so alone, so lost. Her vulnerability is heartbreaking, and I'm a walking cock, a hoping, wishing, open heart. Her vulnerability is kind of attractive. I go over. Hi, can I sit? She gives a tight little nod. Hello, I say gently. My name is Magic Agnostic. My name is Magic Agnostic Dave. What's yours? Morella. And wow, those looks, this moment, and now that wonderful name. I've never heard it before. Everything about her is curious. You okay? Well, another little twitch she obviously can't control. She wrings her hands. You know what calms me down, I say. No? Chess. I can't play chess. And so begins a very short and soon aborted attempt to teach Morella chess. As I prattle on about pawns and bishops, she just looks on, eyes blank, and I sense, looking inwards. I'm getting nowhere. How about a cup of tea? We move to the kitchen. She is still twitching, still worried. I decide to walk her through making a cup of tea like I'm teaching chess. First, put the tea bag in and the sugar if you want, milk, a stir, and away we go. I make mine, and she, with prompting, makes herself a cup. I gently talk her through it. This calms her, and I feel a prickle of pride. Then we go on and play drafts. And that is how I met Morella. And that is how I fell in love. Thanks. Yeah, she's she runs through the book. She pops up here and there. We got moved to different wards, and understandably, we did have one enchanted brief kiss, but when I crashed at the end of it, kind of suddenly reality, I mean, you're fed up, but it's also kind of reality returns, and I realized all the poems, all the stuff I was kind of trying to get over to her ward, all that, I wasn't really doing it for her. I was doing it for me, so I don't think I really was in love with her, everything. Well, I was madly in love with her, madly being the key word. We're going on to something a bit lighter now, not lighter, but a bit happier. Well, not happier, I don't know what I'm saying. It's got gags in it. This is ward meetings and my hilarious genius. Ward meetings happen every 2 weeks and is when everyone gets to assess you. And I mean everyone. The big chief psychiatrist, some trainee doctors, your name nurse, the matron on the ward, a social worker, and a few people who I have no idea about. And my mum and dad. These meetings are very important. If one goes your way, it could mean freedom. I have only been given a few escorted walks, but this makes no difference to my mindset. Every fortnight, I am convinced they're going to discharge me. After all, I am clearly not mad. I'm not even mentally ill. I've been depressed before, and I'm mentally positively. I'm certainly not depressed. God damn it! I have never felt so good. I would be having a whale of a time if my parents hadn't seen fit, for some baffling reason, to get me sectioned. I'm still quite annoyed with them about that. Okay, they say it wasn't them, but the 2 psychiatrists and the social worker who condemned me to this loony bin, but they were complete strangers. They'd never read The Nose That Nobody Picked. How could they understand it was an agnostic parable that was going to change the planet? They'd probably never met a genius before. All right, they've met a few nutters who thought they were geniuses, but never an outright, genuine, dyed-in-the-wool, outright artistic genius like me. Some people might find this ward meeting, this room of strangers, a bit intimidating, but not me. Oh no, this is a room full of people all interested in David Parkin. This is an audience. I have treated them to poetry about why I clearly should be discharged, tried to bless them with a song or two, but wasn't allowed to take my guitar into the meetings. Can you believe that? If this was a paid gig, people would be paying for their seats. I find medical types frustratingly bland in their appreciation of the arts. As is the custom, my parents go in to have a quick, quiet word with them all. Suits me. I straighten, suits me, gives me time to prepare. I firm up my nostrils, smiling. I am beckoned in. Nothing. Blank faces, not even a smirk. I have a pair of underpants on my head, and 2 pencils stuck up my nose. My mother sighs and gives herself a very sad, slow face palm. Okay, so maybe people didn't grow up with it like the way I did, but a few must have. Surely not everyone in the room is missing my, if I do say so myself, biting and very funny cultural reference to Blackadder. You know, the one where he tries to get out of war by pretending to be mad. I am being very clever and hilarious. Some people might say that if you are going to a meeting that decides whether you are sane enough to be allowed outside into the outside world, the last thing you want to do is put a pair of underpants on your head and stick pencils up your nose. But those people aren't as smart and as funny as I am. He's doing Blackadder, my dad says weakly to the quizzical looks. I sit down, rather grandly cross my legs, and survey the room. David, says the head shrink, would you care to explain the underpants and, well, your nose? Once again, I slowly meet everyone's eye. This is going to be good. Then I say with an utterly straight face, wibble, wibble. And there we go. Thank you. It's that time of the night. I've got to find the page. Sorry about this. It's that time of the night. It's wanking, everybody. I was very proud when I did it in the main gallery, because that gallery has had like Francis Bacon. Sorry. Oh, when I did. Well, I had my seclusion room to myself. I had some time to kill. No, not when I wanked in there. When I put on my installation there. And obviously in that room, they've had Francis Bacon, they've had some Picasso stuff in there, you know, Tracy Emin, you know. And I was really proud that I had a text board that's just called Wanking. It's, I think it's a special thing. Yeah. So you'll see what this is. Well, it's about wanking. Everyone wanks in the showers. They must do. I know I do. In the humdrum boredom of the all-male Bosworth ward, it is something to look forward to. But the showers are only open in the morning. If you want to relax in a gentlemanly fashion at any other time of day, it's a pretty risky affair. Patients are checked up on regularly. Every half hour, a nurse does the rounds of the ward and checks off everyone on her list. If you're in the TV area, you barely notice this. If you are, however, in your bedroom with your cock in your hand, it can really upset your rhythm. I'm sorry, this is very blue, but I think you'll find it has like a social political point at the end. But yes, that's about wanking, a lot of wanking. Anyway, some nurses don't even knock. Just knock, for Christ's sake, and let me retain what little dignity I have in this place. And there's no visual stimulation. It's visual stimuli. They take your phone and your laptop from me. The best thing you can hope for is they have newspapers. The best thing you can hope for is page 3 of The Sun. And that just makes you feel like really 80s and like you should be a gruff, sexist builder called Dave, I suppose. The only stimuli there is, though, are the female nurses, student nurses and doctors. And come on, that can't be healthy. Come on, NHS, give us some porn so we don't have to fantasize about your employees. I didn't realise how dirty I'd feel while I was saying this. Christ. Okay, Right. I'm so pissed off with the checks that I very loudly announce that I am going to my room and I am not to be disturbed because I shall be reading my book about Buddha, snoozing or masturbating. But I've got to the point where I am apparently sane enough to be allowed 4-hour visits to the outside world with my friends and family. And I have a plan. Today, my parents take me out. We go back to my house. I play my piano, talk them into letting me have 1 glass of Pinot Grigio, and then it is time to leave and go back to the ward. I make them stop outside a shop halfway down my road. I tell them I just want to get a pack of cigarettes. I go in and survey the top shelf. I'm 14 again. Where is my mate Matt? The tall one with the stubble. This was normally his job, but it's just me. I choose an art pamphlet. But I'm too short. I can't reach. A tiny piece of my brain implodes. I turn to the counter. Oh, Jesus, no. Behind the counter is a woman. She looks at me flatly. But she is taller than me. Getting sectioned is a progressive course of being humbled. Freedom, well, that's gone. Being told when to wake, eat, sleep. Solitary confinement. Constantly being appraised and judged. But this is sectioning with a twist. This is a crushing blow of my own making. The woman comes from behind the counter and somberly reaches the mag down for me. And I'm beyond this. I may only be 5'5", but in the good old days I had the internet and the privacy of my own room. I pay for the pornography, cheeks blushing. This has been degrading. I feel, on many levels, like a right wanker. Thank you. I'm going to finish with a slightly serious one. And of course, as you probably know, the nature of bipolar highs is there's an inevitable crash afterwards where you get quite seriously depressed. And so this is, the NHS was rubbish in a lot of ways, but there's some great people who work there. And this is called Talk with Tamika. Tamika is, I do objectify her a little bit, as I was talking about with the women, but it's fine, bear with me. Tamika is the young Chinese trainee doctor. She's quite earnest, very open, and is obviously going to be great at her job. She's also very cute. When I was flying, I would flirt with her outrageously. There were times when she would have to physically assess me. This meant I had to take my shirt off and she would stick things to me, often getting it wrong while she is still learning. Imprisoned on the ward and away from all intimacy, I would find these physical exams extremely exciting. In the hospital notes, she wrote the very ambiguous, as if not wanting to acknowledge her own beauty. David kept smiling, but with no obvious stimuli. I think she likes me. That is my alarm where I have to take my slow-acting quetiapine and antipsychotic. I've got to remember to take those when I get home. There we go. So, quetiapine, great for the bipolar brain. Does make you a little bit chubbier than you normally are, but Anyway, right, where was I? I have turned my phone on silent, but the alarm goes off. Anyway, I'd forgot that alarm. I think she likes me. An artist herself, she is intrigued by my various endeavours. She's even gone the extra mile of reading my memoir about recovering from a brain injury. But that's Tamika to a T. This isn't just her job, it's a vocation. Today, we're having one of our regular private chats. She has made a habit of doing this with everyone on the ward, which I think she's done of her own volition. It certainly wasn't happening before. All the blokes here seem to appreciate these chats. Some have told me how they've had a good cry, and I think most of the chaps, like me, are a bit besotted with her. When I was manic, I did ask her if she wanted to go on a date with me when this was all over at, you guessed it, I say you guessed it here because I escaped to the champagne bar. I asked her on a date to, when this is all over, do you want to go to the champagne bar? And shared with her that I often thought about her and a trainee nurse when Today, the memory of that makes my skin crawl. I'm sorry about the rude things I said to you when I was high. That's all right, Dave, she says with a smile. I've certainly heard worse, and it wasn't really you. It was just the bipolar doing what it does. And how are you today? It's a few weeks since my very half-hearted suicide attempt at the train station. I'm still very down, but slowly getting there. I'm okay, I suppose. I've been reading that book on mindfulness you gave me. Well, I've been trying to. I'm finding it really hard to concentrate. I just can't write. No songs are coming. It's just all such a different world. When I was high, I had all sorts of ideas, but now, hey, she says softly, that's completely normal. It will come back. I just feel so trapped, like I'm never going to get out of here. I was in there for 4 months. At this point, she dips her head and looks me in the eyes. You will get out of here. I promise. And that promise is coming right from her. And I know she believes it. And it makes all the difference. I nearly died once. She's referring to about 12 years ago, I jumped off a roof. Anyway, that's another story. Anyway, yeah. So she's talking about that. That's how I got my brain injury. I nearly died once, she says, in a car accident. You know what I think? I think it wasn't our time. I think we survived for a reason. We both have things we need to do. And this is typical Tamika. Maybe more revealing than she should be, a bit mystical, but spot on for gauging the patient and the moment. I start to cry. I just feel that this is the last place I should be, depressed in this bloody ward that's so out of date, with other people who want to kill themselves. Well, I can understand that, she says. Do you remember the thing you said to me when I was high, when I asked you what changes you would make to Bosworth Ward if you could? Yes, I do, she says solemnly. I said I'd tear it down. Thank you. So, it goes on a bit after that, but I end with this post-it note, which is obviously from her, and she says, David, we did not die in significant events because there's something important that we have not yet done. Nobody knows what it is. You need to live on to find out. And maybe I think I've found that thing, and it's been training my girlfriend's dog. Seriously, when I went in the house, this dog was nuts, and it's one of my proudest achievements. Anyway, thank you very much for listening, and buy a book if you want, and well done to everybody tonight, and thank you to Lydia. Cheers.